Out of Eggos.
What's your problem?
Eggos!
Man, I'm trying to listen to Kate Bush here.
We're out of Eggos, man.
Oh, man, go to the store, get your own.
No, that's not how this works.
Man, I'm trying to listen to Kate Bush, man. Leave me alone.
11 needs her Eggos.
Ah.
Oh, hey.
Oh, we're recording something.
Welcome to another fun episode of the Sons of Haddonfield. I should say fun, but it's starting off a little cranky because we're out of Eggos. And we're going to be talking about Stranger Things.
We're talking about Stranger Things 4.
Whoa!
Whoa! That was a really cheesy intro
It was.
we had. I apologize greatly
I
for
don't.
you guys.
I don't
You're
apologize.
just gonna own it.
Because, you know, Eggos are the part of every complete breakfast. Too bad they don't sponsor us.
Or if you're my 5-year-old son, they're the complete part of every meal. He eats like 2 to 3 Eggos for every meal.
He's not wrong.
I mean, him and 11, BFFs. No, we're talking about Stranger Things 4. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna review it for you. I'm gonna start right off by making a very bold statement. You ready for this?
Hold on. I'm not prepared.
Are you sitting down?
I think so.
Okay.
If I'm not.
If you're not, you're really short. My favorite season of Stranger Things to date.
Is he bold?
That's a pretty bold statement.
If he is, I agree with that statement.
Do you agree? Your favorite season of Stranger Things to date?
To date, yes.
Now, this is only part 1. We get part 2 July 1st.
Correct.
Coming out here pretty soon. What are your plans over the 4th of July weekend? You're going to be watching Stranger Things.
Yeah.
There's only 2 episodes, but they're like 3 hours long at piece.
Well,
Not a piece,
but
but
one
like
is like an hour
season
and a half.
episode 9 is like 2.5 hours.
That's correct. It's like 2 or 3 episodes in one.
I'm ready for it. I need it now.
Mm-hmm.
The Ray that episode 7 ended, I need it now. And look, if you haven't seen Stranger Things 4 yet, this will be filled with spoilers.
Spoiler warning.
We cannot talk about this. We cannot dissect this without doing spoilers.
Correct.
What was your favorite episode of the season so far?
I don't know if I can pinpoint a specific episode, but I can pinpoint a couple moments.
Okay, let's talk about the moments.
Well, one, obviously, the introduction of the new Hellfire Club group, Eddie.
Eddie.
Is my favorite character.
We get two new characters, basically,
Mm-hmm.
in season 4. We get Eddie and we get
Argyle.
Both absolutely phenomenal characters. Eddie's been getting all the love. Eddie's been getting all the love, but I feel like Argyle is greatly like underappreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Like his character is so like just hilariously on brand, like with everything he does, and so lovable that I really feel like he's getting the short end of the stick when compared to Eddie.
So my favorite moments. So both my favorite parts both involve Eddie.
Eddie, it's all about Eddie.
That's why we had to bring him up. So is when Vecna kills, gets his first kill, and Eddie's like horrified because he's basically Nightmare on Elm Streeted this girl who he's like, oh hey, you're kinda cool.
Hey, we actually have some stuff in common.
That's one. The second one, rather, is when they go to the Upside Down through the pool.
Through the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like,
okay,
that was intense.
so those are great moments.
Mm-hmm.
You selected well, but I think you're missing out a key moment.
Yes.
That I think is probably when Stranger Things is all said and done. This may be the defining episode of Stranger Things. Like, this may be the episode that people look back on and say, if you want to see greatness, watch season 4, episode 3. That is the episode for me. That is the Max episode. Being haunted by Vecna. going into the Upside Down, kind of losing grip on reality throughout the episode, and then all the flashbacks and the joy and the love and the laughter that she's experienced with all the different characters throughout the first her 2 seasons that she's been on the show. This is now her 3rd season on the show. Is phenomenally done.
Yes.
And it all builds up to that scene in the cemetery in front of Billy's grave being hoisted up into the air, just like the cheerleader from your moment, to be killed by Vecna in the Upside Down. But they find running up that hill by Kate Bush, put it on, and she finds that light. She sees the light at the end of the tunnel. She fights free from the grasp of Vecna and runs and survives and fights for her life and is saved basically because of music.
Yes.
And growing up, an emo kid, a pop punk kid, like music has saved my life more times than I can count. So like I'm getting goosebumps right now just like talking about that episode, because like that is, if you want to talk about greatness, that episode to me is
that was pivotal for sure.
Wow, it doesn't get better to me than episode 3. That episode there with Vecna at that moment, just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never heard of Kate Bush before.
Probably like a lot of people.
Yeah, like a lot of people, she's all of a sudden number 1 on the charts, number 1 on iTunes, number 1 on Spotify, I'm sure.
Yeah,
so,
she's great.
yeah. So good props to her for being popular like 30 years after she released her music.
I mean,
it's never too late.
You
never know when you're going to have a breakout hit. What do we think about the writing of the season so far?
So I think it's fantastic. This season is more horror driven than any of the other seasons, which I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Because like Stranger Things should be pretty creepy.
It should be.
And they delivered that this season.
It feels like a true horror show.
It does.
And oftentimes, it hasn't always felt like that. It's like one of my favorite series of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying anything bad against it. Just that sometimes in the past, it hasn't felt like a true horror show.
And I believe one of the reasons for that and why it's working so well is because when the kids are younger, you don't want to do too hard, too heavy, because it wouldn't fit. But as they age, it gets darker, which I kind of
it's
think
like
that fits.
They're growing up, they're maturing, and I think the show is kind of maturing with it, and the storylines they're telling are maturing with it, and they're kind of growing up also. So it's not just a coming of age for the kids and what they're going through, it's kind of a coming of age for the series as well, and the writing and the storyline, basically.
Agreed.
Which is pretty cool. So we get, it starts off, we got like 3 different storylines, basically.
Yeah, 2 or 3. Yeah.
We got Joyce and Murray trying to get Hop back.
From Russia.
We've got 11, we've got Will, and now we've got, at the end, we've got Mike and Jonathan. What didn't go? Jonathan stayed back. So we got Mike and Argyle in California, Las Vegas. I don't know where they are.
California.
I think they're in
Utah.
Las Vegas now, or Utah now.
Because they went to Utah to visit Susie.
And then we've got the group back in Hawkins. So all of those different storylines, it could be tough to follow if it wasn't written so well, I think. And because of the way it is, and because of the way it presents itself, I feel like it does a really good job of making it actually pretty easy to follow all of those, because there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And it's pretty easy to follow everybody.
I agree. We are forgetting one thing. My favorite cameo ever on Stranger Things, Robert Englund.
Robert Englund is in Stranger Things. It's amazing.
Yes. His scene was amazing, and I hope he shows back up.
I really hope he comes back. We learned that he's not the villain that everybody seems to think he is. He's actually an innocent man who has been telling the truth this entire time.
And he had to scar himself up and do horrible things to himself to survive Vecna, or at least he thought that's what he had to do to survive Vecna.
Not okay. So obviously, with Robert Englund, it's going to remind people of A Nightmare on Elm Street. But you mentioned earlier that is the Nightmare on Elm Street type kill, where Vecna is killing his victims. Vecna himself gives me Freddy Krueger type vibes.
Yes.
If
He hunts in the
Freddy
demons.
Krueger was more serious.
Yeah.
Like, this is who I feel like I wanted Freddy Krueger to be in all the sequels.
Freddy Krueger is pretty terrifying, but they do make him crack jokes. But those jokes are actually really terrifying because he takes what you love and then he's like, kills you with it. That's what he's supposed to do, and it's actually really terrifying if you really dive deep into it.
Or it's just funny.
Like someone wants to be on TV, kills him with the TV, but I
Hilarious.
digress.
Hilarious. Not terrifying. Hilarious.
It's not hilarious.
And I love Nightmare on Elm Street, but
awesome.
I think the voice of Vecna is very Robert Englund. At first, I thought, oh, Robert Englund is voicing Vecna, but he's not. But like, it just gives that vibe that he is, And so I get very heavy Nightmare on Elm Street vibes from this entire season so far, and I gotta say, I love it.
Yeah, it is fantastic.
The pacing throughout the entire season. We talk about pacing with movies. The pacing throughout the entire season, I believe, is fantastic.
Yeah, even though the episodes are longer, they don't feel.
If you're like me, I was actually like craving more. Like, I wasn't sitting. Like, I think the last episode 7 that we've gone so far is like an hour and 40 minutes, something like that. It went by fast. It honestly went by fast. I was craving more. The previous episode, I was craving more.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want the episodes to end.
They average, I'm guessing they averaged about like an hour to 15 minutes for most of them. But yeah, they did not seem slow at all.
And of course, the twist ending, not really the ending because we're still getting more episodes of this season, but the reveal that Vecna was one. The first kid at Dr. Brenner's papa, his Hawkins laboratory. I didn't see it coming. I'm like, look at this nice, orderly nurse person trying to help Eleven throughout the entire season. I was like, that's so nice of him. He's awesome.
I kind of saw it coming because
I fell hook, line, and sinker into their trap.
Because I'm like, there's no way that they're going to make 11 one and have added a tattoo.
That is true, yeah.
Like, because like that's one of the things that I was like, oh, could it be that? But I'm like, no, it couldn't be. Because they do try to set that up like 11 as a psychopath. In the original first episode of the season, they kind of like hint that she was responsible for all the mayhem and destruction.
She did open the first gate.
She did.
Which I'm going back and watching it with my son. He was getting into Stranger Things now. He's all about it right now. So I'm going back and watching the episodes. We just finished season 1 with him. And they actually say, I had forgotten all about this, but 11 says that she opened the door in the third episode. And I completely forgotten. So when I'm watching it season 4, I'm like, oh wow, 11 opened the first door at Hawkins' lab. Wow. Like, they never showed how she did it. But they have obviously thought about this.
Yes.
They knew exactly the story they wanted to tell from the beginning. I completely forgotten about that. And we also learned that Vecna, not a Demogorgon, was the killer of Barb.
Yes. Which kind of makes sense too, because I also went back and rewatched season 1. It shows a man-like figure, like a tall figure, which automatically your brain would be like, oh, Demogorgons is a thing. It's a Demogorgon. But like if you look at it closer, it clearly looks more like Vecna.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, hindsight, but they wrote it in
hindsight,
later. But
yeah.
Yeah.
So great performance. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but great performance by One and Vecna. I read something like there was an 8 a.m. Start time.
Yeah.
So all the cast and crew had to be there at 8 a.m. ready to shoot all the actors, right? Well, Vecna, his makeup, that was practical effect.
Yeah.
Now all the stuff like in the upside down surrounding that was CGI.
Yeah.
But Vecna himself, that's all practical effects. That's all makeup. So he had to be there for an 8 a.m. start. He had to be there at 1 a.m.
Yeah, because it took 7 hours.
7 hours
Put that
of makeup to put on, and then a full day shooting after that.
Yeah, and then if you think about it took 7 hours to put on, it probably takes at least 2 or 3 to take off.
Yeah, every single day.
That
like,
they had those early calls. Yeah,
that is dedication.
I would be sleeping and be like, okay, I'm done with my feet.
I don't
now.
know how he did it.
Yeah,
Honestly, like that is awesome to read about and see. The chemistry that the cast has always been good and still good with the addition of the 2 new characters, Eddie and Argyle, like we talked about. So I can't wait for July 1st. A little tidbit here that we got. There's apparently going to be a time jump to begin season 5, or at some point in season 5, the last season.
which makes sense because the kids are getting older, so it's kind of hard to hide them in high school and college. So
we'll see. I don't know how big of a time jump. I don't think they've said, but there is going to be a time jump in season 5. So we'll see how that goes. All in all, first 7 episodes of season 4, 5 stars out of me.
10 stars,
You can't give 10 stars, you can only give 5.
11 stars.
I see what he did there. Nicely done. Hey, you're already here. Go ahead and like, subscribe, comment, share the video on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram if you can. I don't know if you can on Instagram.
Yeah, you can do everything.
Facebook and Twitter you can, though.
Just
Share
set
it there.
Set your mind to it.
Mind power. I really want to try Domino's mind ordering app to order Domino's with my mind.
What's this? I'm out of the loop.
Yeah, so Domino's launched this app for Stranger Things where you order pizza for delivery or pickup using the power of your mind, just like 11.
Okay, I'm going to try it this weekend. Or no, not this weekend. Maybe July 1st.
There you go. Treat yourself. Hey, follow us on Instagram. Sons of Haddonfield personal accounts are Horror Sensei.
And Ibeck Joe.
On Letterboxd at Husker Sensei.
And I'm Ibeck Joe.
And on Twitter at Haddonfield Sons.
And as always, do you know what I'm thinking?
I know what you're thinking.
I'm Ibeck Joe.
I bet you.
The Mind app is working, but not for pizza.
That's all for you guys. Let us know what your favorite moment of season 4 is. Let us know where it ranks on your Stranger Things season list. And be ready for July 1st. Remember, everyone loves a goddamn lobster roll.
And we'll see you in the Upside Down.